and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to bring to you Twiztid. Season 1, Episode 3, Die Motherfucking Die.
Welcome everyone to episode number 3 of the Juggalo Rewind podcast, your favorite Juggalo podcast, or one of your favorites. I don't know. There's a couple out there, so hopefully we're in your top 8. Is that dating us? Top 8 reference? Anyways,
well, I didn't catch that MySpace reference.
Yeah, Chris is drunk and not paying attention. My name is Peter. That's Chris. We're talking Juggalo nonsense.
Yeah.
As you know, Season 1 of the Juggalo Rewind is talking Twiztid, Mostasteless, one of the classic albums in psychopathic / twisted / dare I say Detroit hip-hop history.
Oh, yeah. I think it crosses over, maybe.
That's right up there. We gotta discuss that in a future time. Just as a reminder, if you want to get a hold of us, talk to each other, or just bullshit and complain like most people do on social media, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at JuggaloRWD. That's short for Juggalo Rewind. You can also email us at JuggaloRWD@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, search Juggalo Rewind. You can also find us on our very fancy and new and updated website, JuggaloRewind.com. That one you spell out.
That one's not abbreviated.
Yeah, we figured, make that look nice, but
sure.
All the other ones we've got to shorten up. RWD for those, full rewind for the World Wide Web. It's a very powerful tool.
We're going to do that review coming up soon, right? eSham, www.com.
Do you make that reference in every episode that we do?
I've only done it twice.
We've only had 3 episodes.
We've had 4.
This is what I have to deal with, everybody. This is why we can only do these once a week. Because
you gotta get eSham with the rotation eventually here, so I gotta plant the seeds early.
We have lots to go forth with. If you would like to put in a request for what CD we do,
You keep calling CDs talking about
what we do, which album we
references you keep
do this with, feel free to drop us an email or a Instagram or a tweet or a tout or a what's the other one that you use?
Snapchat.
Yeah,
I don't
think people use Snapchat anymore.
Well,
people use the TikTok.
I don't know.
You don't use TikTok.
Don't use either.
Chris's brother is TikTok famous. I don't know if anyone knew that.
Maybe we'll get him on here. This is before his time.
That would be funny. Speaking of, we have no guest this week. We're slacking on the guests. We're a couple weeks in. No one wants to be a guest. But we're thinking if you want to be a guest, again, hit us up on social media. While we're talking social media, you should use the hashtag. What's the hashtag, Christopher?
Mostasteless Rewind.
Correct.
On Instagram or Twitter, a little share ski, use that hashtag. Or you go to our Twitter page, post there for the giveaway, like it, follow us, tag a friend. And then, third way to enter, go to apple.com or
apple.com.
Go to Apple Music, rate, review. That's your third way to go.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Do we if someone gives us 4, do they get an entry? Does that count?
They get 4/5 of the
of the entry.
No, of the prize.
Oh, he's just saw off part of the vinyl.
So the prize for the one lucky winner is a vinyl of the Mostasteless 20th anniversary vinyl. Did I say vinyl twice? I think I did. I also almost said 20 by 20 vinyl and not 20th anniversary vinyl. So you use the hashtag either on Instagram, you share what we call the pinned tweet. Is that what we call it in the business?
Yes.
Or you rate, review, subscribe. And those are 3 ways to enter. We'll throw them all in a bucket. We'll pull a name out of a hat.
We're going to do it old school. We're not going to do the generator online. We're legit going to print it out, cut them up with scissors, put them in a hat, and pull it out.
Yes, I'm going to write them all by hand, crumple them into little bitty pieces, put them in. Did you? This is a reference people will get, but Chris won't. Did you ever watch the raffles on? Oh, you're not even on Facebook anymore, are you? You
No.
fucking asshole. So
I'm the asshole. You're the one still on Facebook.
So you know Vinny, the ICP kid?
Yes.
So he has these raffles, but he has all of the people's names. I have to stand up to show this, so let me refix my microphone as I stand up. Did you ever have the WWF like box? It's like a trunk, but it's got like LOD and Hogan and Warrior.
I didn't have it, but I know what it is. Yeah.
So he puts like all the names in one of those and shakes it up. And he has like pyrotechnics and fucking smoke and a flag.
Let's steal that gimmick.
It's not a bad idea. Vinny, if you're out there, we want you on this podcast.
I mean, we got to get Vinny on here to discuss something.
B,
the Stranglemania review episode season.
Oh my God, talk about nonsense. B, we want your WWF box. If you want to sell it to us or trade it to us, let us know.
We just put him in charge of the giveaway. Maybe.
That's true. He'll crumple them up into little bitty pieces. Well, this is not how we get through episodes fast, so we need to. We told you about all the hashtags, all the prizes, all the websites, all the @, all the Twitters, all the TikToks. So let's get to why you're here. And it's not a guest because we don't have any. We're talking about the third track on Most Tasteless, both on the original and the reissue. So we're still in line. Number 3, Diemuthafuckadie. When I spelled it out, I always want to make sure, is it the M-U-T-H-A? Is it?
Yeah, this is a hard one to remember. I thought Most Tasteless in general was a tough one to spell out, but
I always
Diemuthafuckadie is a tough one.
Let me double check because I just punched the microphone with the CD case and it's super dark in the studio, so I can't read. I think it's the same on all of them. I don't think any of them changed. I think it's spelled the same.
It is.
Producer on this track, once again, Scott Sumner.
I think that's going to be the underlying theme of this season is Scott Sumner. He brings the heat.
He does. Him and Shane Capone bring the heat. Track time, 4:02.
Another
long boy. Like we said, it's a third track on both versions of Most Tasteless. As we've discussed in the past, Twiztid gave ICP a quote-unquote demo tape of tracks that they were either working on or already had or just had an idea for. And this was also on that demo. Which,
I mean, I don't need to hear anything else. 2 for 2. I'll sign them.
Well, we're jumping right into it. So that is our last 2 CDs. Our last 2 tracks. Last week was Secondhand Smoke. This week, Diemuthafuckadie. And they are both on said famous demo tape. Also, this track was played live on the House of Horrors tour when they were opening for ICP in, was that early 1998? I believe they ended their set list with this. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure on that.
Yeah, I imagine they didn't switch it up. They probably just consistently played that same set. So, I imagine this was the closer, if that's the rumors.
If I recall, this is the closer, because I was up front row every night watching them, or I saw them once or twice, and I've just seen it on YouTube. All right, so that's kind of the history of the song. Now we dive into what we think the song means, which kind of crazy. Probably violence and murder. As we get our books, if you know me and Chris, we have our computers and our lyric sheets out here. As we deep dive into what exactly Twiztid meant when they said, "We cracked yo head in half." I mean, wasn't shit funny, but we laughed.
This one's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's about beating the fuck out of somebody, right? And about being whack bitches in Toledo, which I can't say we agree or disagree with.
I mean, I got no beef with Toledo. I feel like that's a extension of Michigan. You know, we own Toledo. We claim Toledo. They have everything else.
I think I got a book and I never read it about the Great Ohio-Michigan War, and
it's the only bloodless war or whatever.
Yeah. So Michigan lost the war, gave up Toledo, and got the UP. Like, okay, you can have Toledo.
And the UP wants no part of Michigan, though.
Yeah. Well, so that's for another podcast.
Toledo wants to be part of Michigan, I think so.
Toledo has the Mud Hens. It has Dazette.
Tony Paco.
Do you remember Dazette?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember his rapping, or do you remember him from the White Rapper show on VH1?
I remember him rapping. Yeah.
He was sweet as fuck.
I don't know if I went that far.
Oh, man, I love Dazette.
See me at my show, like they always been down, like that shit. Come on, I'm serious, let's do this shit. I'm about to do this shit, fuck the talking. Cause if it's bullshit, y'all can keep walking. I'm only down with those that are really down. So if you ain't, don't even come around. I'm about to do this shit.
We're gonna have let's get, if anyone out there knows Dazette or Scott Sumner or Vinny the ICP Kid, send them our way. We want all three of these guys on one episode.
I don't know what it's got to talk about on here.
Talk about the glass.
Maybe he's the one that they had problems with in Toledo.
That's highly possible. I mean, maybe they were beefing with someone, like that Paradigm CD where they were in. Oh, now we're coming full circle, where they were chanting for ICP at a Dime show, and he said, you guys don't know who's here, you better shut up.
Forgot about that.
That was a Toledo reference. All right, so we've gotten off on a giant tangent here 10 minutes into this episode. That didn't take long. Lyrics, deep dive. What are we talking about? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What sticks out when going through these lyrics?
I think the one that's edited on Island is the line that sticks out as the.
Oh man, we're jumping right into that. So
I mean, if I'm gonna pick one as the standout, that might be it.
Just the whole Madrox verse?
The whole burn the White House in business face.
Yeah.
And every cop should be beat like Rodney King. Those two ones, I think, might stand out. Maybe it's just because it gets edited in that second round. I don't know.
Yeah, so we mentioned that the song is both on the original Most Tasteless and the reissue. When they reissued Most Tasteless, as you've heard in the past from us, or from whoever you talk to about Twiztid history, they took off some songs, they added some songs, and they also edited some songs. This is one where they edited, specifically in Madrox's verse, they took out, if I recall correctly, we need to burn the White House. They bleeped burn, right? Which is weird. Like, I don't know. We'll go over this in a second. So they bleeped out burn. They bleeped out every cop should be beat like Rodney King. They bleeped out beat. And then a couple lines later, because the pigs don't get no class, they bleeped out pigs.
We need to burn the White House and piss in his face, and every judge should do a minimum of 20 to life. If they can dish it, they can take it. Tell me that ain't right. And every cop should be like Rodney King, non-stop from the summer till it turn to spring. Shove a donut in their mouth and a badge in their ass, because the pigs don't get no class. They get their wig split.
Like,
yeah, very random.
Yeah, well, like, why not in time? I assume that they want pronouns, pal. The artist wants to take out as little as possible to appease whoever is telling them to do. So, like, yeah, if they just said, like, oh, do you want us to get out this, take out this whole line, Island or whoever, been like, oh, yeah. But I'm sure they, like, start as small as possible. Like, can we just flip this one word? And it's like, no, then it's a back and forth. So it's just weird that those lines, like, why not bleep out White House or bleep out Rodney King? Like, why the words burn and beat?
I mean, because I guess those are the violent acts. You want to get rid of that. That's probably what the label is upset about. But, like, I'd like to see who was on Island at this time. Like, what albums came out on Island?
Probably something ridiculous.
Like, yeah, why this of all things that made them
scared, for lack of a better word?
it's very strange.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just tied to the ICP Hollywood fiasco. And
yeah, they just wanted as little as possible.
And like, oh, this is very edgy and offensive. Let's get rid of these. Yeah. That always was something that stuck out to me as very strange.
Now, we debate talking about this, but let's just, I don't know how many episodes we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll just do it here and be done with it. There is definitely in this song and in other songs, some lyrics that don't fly nowadays. And
Oh yeah.
Twiztid, it fully admits this, and I think they don't do them live, but there's definitely words that don't hold up in 2021 as we're recording this.
I think if there's a song to mention it on, this is the song, because
yeah,
is blatant.
Yeah, there's a lot of it, and I mean they edited other words, so like it all comes together, right?
Right.
I don't know. We've had this argument with one of our friends that like, was it right back then?
It was never right, but in the context of the time,
quote unquote acceptable.
But it kind of just happened and wasn't frowned upon, or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say now. I mean,
yeah, well, we're not. We should preface this like we are not saying it's right, it's wrong. We're not trying to like condemn anyone or make you feel bad for feeling either way. We're just stating the fact that things have been said throughout history, whether it's in music or art or speech, and it's just, it may not be right at the time, but it definitely doesn't hold up over time. And this is one that, you know, you can argue the same. Like,
yeah, it doesn't age well. A handful of lyrics.
Yeah, there's not just that word.
Not
There's
just
a couple other words. That are,
right before the lines we were discussing when it comes to the White House has one that kind of stands out. But again, I think they realize it, I guess, moving forward and take care of it themselves as they went along. But yeah, I guess we couldn't discuss this song without at least touching on that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because we all definitely listened to this back then, and I guess knew and was like, that's probably not right, but like, I don't know.
Yeah,
you just kind of listened to it and didn't really think about it.
The other argument, and we're not agreeing or disagreeing, we're just stating what people argue, is that people use language, I don't want to say that they grew up with or that they are used to, and the shittier version of that, which I probably slightly disagree with, is that like people get a pass for like who you know or who you grew up with. Like that's kind of a shitty. I'm not down with that. But like, I think the argument here would be they grew up around it. It was like part of their culture, for lack of a better word. Maybe like in their schools and their families and their whatever, and it was just like normal, for lack of a better word. And they didn't think of it as like, oh my God, we're going to be rappers that people all over the world are going to listen to, and like they're going to see this as different. It's just second nature to them. That doesn't make it right, because fucking it's second nature to, you know, people in the 1800s to like do shitty things. And like that doesn't make that right, but it's, I don't know, do you blame the person for growing up in a certain time in a certain place? This is going in a real weird place. I don't even know. Like,
yeah, I guess, yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. A whole deeper discussion than I guess what we're doing, but yeah, we had to touch on it, and yeah, I don't know. I think in something that wasn't done in malice in a harmful way at the time, and like you said, maybe it was just something that was like in where you were growing up and who you were with, you were kind of using that, and I think, I don't know. That's something that they would have to say if they changed as they went along, but they're definitely realizing that it was wrong at that time, and as we see moving forward, do not use it, and that's for the better for sure. Yeah, you
can't change the past, but if you recognize your problems and you fix them, then so be it. Like it's funny to use the word malice. Like I straight up work with people who use that word in malice. Like, and there are plenty of people out there. This was not. That doesn't make it less wrong or more right. It's just they realized it and they moved past it.
I think it's a moment in time that word's a hard one. It's hard to even dissect that. The other two
which
in this context is in a negative light.
Now, I am all right.
I'll just go back to the other slangs in there at that time were tossed around freely And I think a lot of people now realize how harmful and hateful that is
Right.
in this time frame. But to say in 1998, 1997, whenever they wrote that, those words were tossed around freely.
Right.
And that's definitely one that for sure I think everyone realizes, oh shit, that was horrible to like use those in that context.
Right.
I think everyone knows that now. But you can't pretend that it wasn't just like in the dialect back then.
Right.
I think it was Jonah Hill's. You ever see his movie Mid-90s?
You've talked about it, but I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen it.
Because when it came out, people were reviewing it and like asking him, should he have not used certain slang, homosexual slang? And he said, I can't pretend that didn't happen. We all grew up saying those words.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pretend it wasn't said back then growing up. And I think that's something you can't ignore it. It was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. It wasn't,
The I don't want to say the backlash, but the counter to that would be that's a not historical, but it's like talking about a place and time.
Right.
That's like if we did a movie about the 1860s. That word is going to be used because we're talking about historical,
Right.
but like this wasn't historical. This is like
no, but
at the time.
But it was in that time frame.
I get that, but
yeah.
it's like that would be the argument is that like, well, they're not talking about something that happened. They're talking about literally what they were thinking or feeling.
But that
day.
movie was based in this time frame.
I'm not denying that one. I'm just what I find most offensive is the president is prejudiced against you and me, and he's taking half our money and chilling tax free. That's not true.
Depends which president we're talking about.
I'm pretty sure that you can listen to this as we record it in 2021 or 20 years from now or 200 years from now, that more than half the country will hate whatever president is currently in office, and they'll be doing a shitty job, some more or less than others.
But all of them but one paid their taxes. Anyways, moving on. This podcast got real crazy on this episode.
Yeah, I hope we didn't lose any listeners. We apologize, but I don't know. These are things that we have to talk about, right? I mean, if we're
Right.
talking about the lyrics, we can't just be like, yo, they're talking about fucking splitting heads and pistol whipping motherfuckers. Like, if I think we alluded to it in an early episode, like certain artists, and I'll just say like rock or folk or country, like tell more stories so we can like clearly read their lyrics and like get from point from A to B. I think hip hop a little more, especially when you start dipping into like quote unquote horrorcore, which I'm not saying that's what Twiztid is, but like they're putting their toes in that, right? I mean,
And this is still those, like, this and the previous track we discussed are still that early House of Crazies vibe where there isn't really a story. It's just kind of like, we're going to say stuff we think sounds cool, I feel like.
I don't want to say like shock, but yeah, definitely like horror movie type, like just killing and beating, which is not, I'm not saying it's bad or good. It's just, I don't know. It's harder to dissect a story of like, what did he mean when he said, as I'm looking down these lyrics, I can't even like pick two without not even being able to say it. But yeah, it's just we have to talk about it, or otherwise we would have just been like, well, this song was 4 minutes long, and look at the time, I gotta go. So yeah, this episode may be a little deeper than we wanted to get this early in the season, but I promise we'll get past this.
Which, something like listening to this album and listening to the song, because I'm not going to lie, I love this song. It hits hard. It's something you don't really even think about when you listen to until you kind of like take a step back and look at it and be like, yeah, it doesn't age well in the context of the catalog, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. Lyrically, or you think, I know we're skipping ahead, but you mean like all time? Like, are you... maybe that's not a fair question. That's not what you were talking about. We'll get
No,
back
just
to that.
when you take a step back and just dissect it, looking at the lyrics without the music, without the nostalgia, without just living in that moment. Yeah, there's definitely things in this that don't age well, and that you could look back and be like, this probably isn't one you'd want to like, I don't know, put at the top because of certain things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that at the end when we tie everything together. So we talked about it being, one of their original live songs. It was on the demo. We think, as we've talked about in the past, and we will continue to talk about throughout this season, we believe this to be an HOK song, whether written or partially written, or at some point, this has some kind of tie to pre-Twiztid HOK era. That'll come up again in the future. Man, did we really talk about, are there any lines that like stick out as the long-term, historical / Juggalo culture? Wow, that's the one. That's the line. That's on the T-shirt. That's on.
Just for live, when the whole crowd yells "We the shit" back at them, that sticks out.
That's a good one. Like I wouldn't have thought that, but that's not bad. I don't know. For me, I don't know if there's really like any other ones that kind of stick out as historical or memorable.
Just the word wig splits. I mean, I feel like that's something that's been referenced over and over again.
Yeah. I don't know.
But no, there's no line like you look back like, oh man, that was a hot line.
Yeah.
Definitely none of those that stand out, I would say.
I would agree. Let's just dip into other versions or where else we found this song. So as we said, it's on the original and the reissue of Mostasteless. You're also, the reissue, as we said, was edited for Madrox's verse for a couple songs. This is also a version of it. It's found on DJ Clay's Let It Bleed Volume 1, where it's 2 verses from ROC, who is the third member of HOK. We're not going to get into their falling out / getting back together, but they were always friends. That I think we've gathered that over time. We're going to give them a quick shout out here, but if you listen to Fresh as the Word podcast by our boy Kelly K. Fresh, then he has, it has to be like 2 years ago now, he had a really good interview with ROC. So maybe we'll put the link up to that in our, on the website or in the little message
show
boys.
Notes.
Yeah, show notes, that's the word we're looking for. And he goes into the breakup of HOK and how they were always friends, but then they came back together, and now he's part of Magic Ninja. So, but at this point, God, I don't even know what year that was. That's not off the top of my head, but DJ Clay had a couple mixtapes, and ROC had 2 verses that
I dig it.
Go off this beat.
Into lady as shit. My notion is open to all tactics. Razor cuts plus 10 is records up your packets, and that static you hear is the crew ready to stomp you like a bitch. If you ain't heard, dude, we the shit. As I post up with this crowbar, ready to go dark, cause I came so far to do it, and I won't let shit ruin my chance. You motherfuckers get ready to chant. Holla at them, dog.
Yeah, it's real cool. Like, could you... We'll talk about this with a future song. I don't know if you could, take his verse and, plug it in.
Right.
In between these, but as a standalone, I think it's sweet.
I mean, if the rumor is that this was one of his songs originally, are those lyrics the original lyrics?
I don't have those lyrics in front of me. I don't, recall...
It's hard to, it's all speculation, but
yeah,
that's something to be curious to find out.
The quality makes it sound like it was recorded way, more recent.
Oh, definitely.
But were the words?
Right.
I don't know. Here's a question. So even if there's a rapper who writes something 15, 20 years later, are they comfortable hey, I'm going to record that? Or are they perfectionist that they're you know what, that I'm different now. That doesn't sound right. I'd rather do it this way. Maybe the skeleton was there, but maybe he changed it up. I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, you got Kanye out here recording an album every week, doing release parties, and he's done that for the past couple albums where he gets it all done, then decides I'm going to change it 22 times before he releases. So, yeah, I'd imagine he probably did some editing on this.
Yeah.
If you're looking back on an album how long did you say? 10, 15 years later?
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking this song was written in like 96, 97, and then that CD had to come out in 10 years later.
More than that, I think. Early 2010?
No, because, no, I don't think so. Because I feel like I remember listening to at least the second or third version when I'm at my current job, and that would have been in like 08, 09.
2008.
So, see, I knew that.
Yeah, I mean, a decade, though.
Yeah, no, I would think.
Decade plus.
No, that's a good question. I'm curious if that's all new. I'd venture to guess it's newer and not.
Yeah, it
old,
feels that way. Just something I wanted to
Yeah,
touch on.
I agree. And then also, this song found its way onto the Back to the 80s remix.
Now, this is the remix.
They remixed Diemuthafuckadie with David Bowie's Let's Dance.
No other represent this effervescent knowledge for twisted education. I got the lesson, bloody textbook. Kill the next motherfucker that look and always shaking, never shook. Yeah, get your wig split, bitch, and we out. Get your wig split, bitch, and we out. Get your wig split, bitch, and we out. Tell these motherfuckers what we talking about. Die, motherfucker, die. Die, motherfucker, die, motherfucker, die.
Interesting.
Love it.
I dig it. Like I'm like I've said in past episodes, and I'll say in future episodes, I'm all in on the back to the 80s or, wacky remixes. So
I love me some David Boys. That one fits good.
And then that's the only place that was found. You can find that on YouTube and everywhere. But if you're one of the lucky ones to have the CD from Astronomicon, consider yourselves a lucky person. I was at the event and I did not get one, and I had to pay someone money to purchase said CD.
So you actually own it in your collection.
I do. It didn't burn correctly on my computer, as we found out before we started this episode, but I do own it. I believe it's sitting in my desk at work because I have things mailed to me at my office so that my wife doesn't know that I'm buying Juggalo CDs and wrestling figures because she works from home and she would see them before I do.
See, so. Mine's opposite. I work from home, so I get to get the packages in before I...
Because you don't work. That's not working. That's... Whatever. I'm done. I'm so tired. I work for a living, goddammit, and you just sit home and play with the dog. One thing we also try to mention on these tracks, and this one is a great one, when we notice a sample, obviously in hip-hop, it's hard to pick out if you don't know what you're looking for or it's not totally obvious. But this one, I didn't know. I think Chris just found online, and then we dug into it, and it was fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't even know, like, is this a band? Is this like a...
Yeah, this is something we need to touch on, follow up on here, because this is such a great song, and the album is ridiculous looking. So
the sample is Spooky Boogie by Gentle Giant, and I couldn't tell you if this is like a real band. Did they like play live? Is this just like one of those spooky CDs that you play in the background of a Halloween party? But it's iconic when you're a Twiztid fan and you hear that and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I hear it. I understand where that comes from.
Gentle Giant was a prog rock band in the 70s and 80s.
Should we know them?
From London.
I'm yawning. Sorry, Gentle Giant. Sorry, I'm yawning over talking about
I don't think they have any big singles. But now I want to listen to them because that sample is awesome. And it sounds even better on their version.
Yeah, why'd they fuck with that? They should have just used it exact.
It's a lot more mellow and like old school Halloween sounding on their original version. So it makes sense. You had to speed it up and clean it up or whatever, make it more heavy.
I like it. I like the original. Maybe we'll get a remix where it's just straight up that beat.
Sweet.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe that'll be on the Patreon. Is us singing Twiztid songs.
Or spooky boogie beats.
Or yeah, just play that. All right, so we've kind of gone through everything that I think we can go through on this episode. We got a little deeper than we intended, but that's what we do here on The Rewind, as we call it. Wrapping up, where do you put this song on the CD, on Mostasteless?
On Mostasteless? I'd still put it in the top end.
Upper echelon?
Yeah.
I'd probably agree. If anything, for nostalgia and beat, right? Shout out to Spooky Boogie.
Yeah, for Spooky Boogie alone, this one gets some love.
I mean, live, I think it's a very good live track.
Yeah,
right?
and this one still is in rotation, I feel like, live.
I think so. I feel like the last set list I looked at, I may not have seen it, but I only looked at like one or two.
Yeah, I don't think there's many from this era now because we're old-ass men. But when they do pull out a classic, this one I feel like does get thrown in there.
Twiztid history. Like all time, you're making your mixtape.
Yeah, it makes, if you gotta make a CD, you got me saying it now.
Well, I'm saying you're making a CD of, remember when you can only put 72 minutes on a CDR?
If you have to burn a friend a mixtape, I'm like, hey, get into this band, I think this still makes the cut on it. All
shittiness aside.
Yeah, all things that didn't age well and in modern era don't really hold still. I think you can look past that and listen to this song and be like, this is a sweet ass song. It still hits hard.
That not being the case, I don't know if I would put this in my top, like my tippy top Twiztid. But I also, as much as I like the old Twiztid, I like a lot of the new Twiztid too. And I know you may not. That
would be hard because there's a lot when you look at their catalog. I like more of the rap, more of the horror sounding stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of the rock, metal-y ish stuff doesn't really hit for me. So yeah, maybe I'm saying it just because it's something I recognize and hit hard, or pops in my head easily for them. But I think it still would be a top 10, 15 track maybe.
Right. Well, if you, the listener, I was going to say the viewer, but no one's watching us. If you, the listener, agree or disagree, or want to let us know where this falls for you, on Mostasteless, do you like it live? Do you not like it live? Do you think it's a top 5 song of all time for Twiztid, or do you think it's bottom of the barrel? You let us know. Twitter and Instagram at Juggalo RWD, Facebook Juggalo Rewind, JuggaloRewind.com. Shoot us an email, juggalorwd@gmail.com. Our emails are always open. You can Google chat with us if you see us on there. You can invite us to your live stream. You can, what else do you do on Google? Google Docs. You can do Microsoft Team meetings, which we try to do at work and no one uses. So do whatever you want with any of that information and you will find Christopher and myself on there. You won't see our personal stuff because we hide that. But when we want to do some jug nonsense, we're going to jump on here and let you know what's going on. You have anything else for us on Diemuthafuckadie?
Spooky Boogie, man.
Spooky Boogie.
Look up that Gentle Giant album because I know I am.
Yeah, we're going to be looking up that and buying the vinyl here real quick. We should also mention that purely speculation at this point, but there's a Geto Boys song that came around right at the same time, right? What's the name of that one?
Still from the album Resurrection, and April 2nd, 1996. We looked at the date there.
Oh, like you just knew it right off the top of your head.
Yeah, no, we just looked it up because we were discussing it. But
and it's very similar in the hook, right? I mean, there's a little bit of a change, but it's... we're not saying one stole from the other or sampled from the other, but I mean, obviously the Geto Boys came first, but it's...
Yeah, I mean, I would have to imagine they heard that and made this song off it, but it's not like they stole it. It's just kind of influence them, maybe. Who knows? They might have both had it at the same time, but definitely both songs are hard as hell. I'll tell you that much. That whole Geto Boys album is real good.
Yeah, we don't want to miss out on speaking about that because, we don't want a full episode at the end of the season talking about stuff that we forgot. We've already missed stuff from earlier episodes, and we want to make sure that we include that in here. So check out the Geto Boys if you haven't already. What's the name of that song? I already forgot.
That's still off that album, which that album has, I think, at least 2 beats that they took and put on Psychopathic Riders.
Oh, really?
Which one was it? The second one is Riding Dirty, right?
I don't know. I'm an old ass man. I can't remember.
The second Riders album has 2, if not 3 beats off of that Resurrection album, because that album is real good.
I may have to check that out. I don't know if I'm super familiar with it. All right, so we've given everyone a lot of homework here. If you've learned anything from this episode, you can learn that the Geto Boys go hard, and that Gentle Giant is real sweet, and that there's an ROC verse to this song that maybe you didn't know.
And it's good. Listen.
We should probably put the ROC verse over the David Bowie song.
Oh, man.
We just start mixing everything
There's
together.
a good remix.
Then the cover will be that Spooky Boogie.
And then we'll just put the Geto Boys lyrics over the beat.
We can just make a whole new CD from this. Chris is going to sing all of this in our Patreon. Just follow us later in the year. Give us $5, and then you get to hear that. Can't wait.
I'm ready to sing.
All right. We need to go before Chris starts singing more. I'm going to take away his microphone. I'm turning that down right now. We are good for now. Thank you for listening to the Juggalo Rewind, episode 3 of season of Most Tasteless, talking about Diemuthafuckadie. We will talk to you next week on the next episode. Thank you very much. See you later. All music played in this episode and in this entire season is owned by the respective publishers and copyright holders and is reproduced for review purposes only under fair use. Season 1 of the Juggalo Rewind, Most Tasteless, has been produced and distributed with full permission from Magic Ninja Entertainment. Thank you to George, Mike, Dustin, and Twiztid, and everyone at Magic Ninja for allowing us to do this podcast for you.